Hey guys, this is Aegis, and I am back. It is now summer break, so I have a little bit of time on my hands to be able to cast a couple of games here, and it's going to be Quix versus Direstraits, so clearly I haven't watched this game before. This was sent to me by Mobility Gaming. Check out Division Asphyxia. Well, I don't know what that is, so I'm assuming that these two players are in Masters, mid, maybe high Masters, we'll see, depending on how their play turns out. Of course, one of these players is from Mobility Gaming. I don't actually know who, but I do assume that since Mobility Gaming sent me this game, the winner is from Mobility Gaming, for obvious reasons. Over here, it's going to be a Protoss versus Zerg. It is Cloud Kingdom, one of the new, or supposedly new, ladder maps, because I haven't casted in a while, so I guess it's new to my channel. Maybe there's only 1 or 2 games of this map on my channel. But it's going to be a PvZ, and on this map I believe it does favor the Protoss a little bit, especially at the 2 to 3 base times, especially because it is hard for Zerg to actually take a 4th base on this map without Protoss being able to get to it a little bit easier. And for a Zerg player, these choke points here with the destructible rocks, especially at the early stages of the game, will be quite annoying, especially if our Protoss player decides to get any sort of Colossi up, and it will make the Zerg player a little bit more uneasy, and he'll probably want to take out these destructible rocks. We'll see if he does something like that with his first few Zerglings out on the map. There's a spawning pool on the way, since he does see the probe in his base, so he doesn't really want to get blocked immediately, but it does look like he will pull 2 drones off to deal with that probe as it tries to block the natural expansion. Zerg will soon have enough for a hatchery, so that probe isn't actually doing any sort of economic damage, except for that second drone that is out trying to corner that. Oh! Direstrait killing off that probe a little bit unexpected over there. There's a cybernetics core coming up for Quix, and I don't think our Zerg player has actually scouted inside of his base yet. No, he has not. He's just seen the front, so he doesn't know that there's a gas up and running. But as of this point, Direstrait can assume that our Protoss player will not be going for a natural expansion before the, say, 8-minute timing. There's the natural expansion coming up for Direstrait. He's getting a couple of extra drones up. He is spreading out his overlords around on the map. We do see the slightly faster overlord movement speed here. It's quite noticeable, actually. I haven't been able to play, so I might be a little bit rusty here. LOLT. Well, I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe something happened during the game or something like that. There's the queen popping up. ZVZOV plays. Oh. Yeah, oh well. With those faster overlords, though, he will be able to pull those overlords back a little bit quicker. The overlord is moving back towards the backside of Quix's base, so he will be able to scout in around the 6-minute mark. Quix looks like he will be trying to take a base early off of this 1 cybercore and 2 gases. I'm not too sure what he's up to with those second gas. Then there's the sentries moving down the ramp. We'll be able to chase away those 2 Zerglings, making me look like an idiot. And there's the Nexus coming up, and he should be walling this off soon with a couple of additional gateways to help close that space a little bit. Direstrait now throwing down a spine crawler. He's seen the natural expansion, so I'm not sure what he's too worried about as of this point. There's the pylon. I guess Direstrait might be worried that it is a cancel Nexus scheme. There's the queen continuing to spawn larvae. Both queens still staying pretty low on the energy. Very well done by Direstrait as of the moment. There are more Zerglings coming out as of this moment, and there are more gateways for Quix up at the front. Going to be closing this off a little bit better right now. I believe it does take 2 force fields, or 1.5 force fields, to close this off. Couple of Zerglings trying to poke in here, and it looks like they will be able to make it into the natural expansion. The probe does survive, and the pylon looks like it will go down. There are quite a few sentries out, but these 2 gateways will be unpowered for at least a while. The force field going down, and the Zerglings backing up. Quix desperately trying to hang on to the natural expansion right now with just 4 sentries, and Direstrait continuing to pressure here while continuing to drone. Another pylon trying to come up. The probe almost gets picked off, and oh no, the sentry is getting a little bit surrounded there, losing 0 sentries. Very well done by Quix. Uh, we'll call this at least mid-masters play. Anything under that, Protoss players would tend to lose those sentries. I know I do. And there's the third base on the way for Direstrait, doing a very nice job trying to deny this natural expansion, and Quix doing an amazing job defending. There's the assimilator coming up at the natural expansion, and a Twilight Council now on the way for Quix. And on the other side, Direstrait is going for a Roach Warren, and this will allow him to get those nice beefy units out to be able to deal with any sort of stalkers. The first Forge is now on the way for Quix, so he will be able to get cannons just in case he does see any sort of, oh, it's Dark Shrine, just in case he sees any sort of bird, roaches. One Zergling does sacrifice itself. It does see the Forge. And I think Direstrait might notice the weird timing of that Forge and maybe try to discern that there might be some sort of funky tech in here. He does have an Overlord in position, and even with the faster Overlord speed, I think Quix should be able to respond quickly enough to save that Dark Shrine from being seen. There's the Evolution Chamber on the way for Direstrait. He's a little bit too saturated over here. So this was not a ladder game. Let's see, I recognize... I should have checked this first. I recognize the SG tag, but I'm not sure if that's the same SG that I'm thinking about. The SG that I remember is Standard Gaming, and I don't know if they still exist. But the third base now being saturated by Direstrait. He did transfer those drones as if he heard me through the replay. And there's the Overlord scouting into the natural expansion. It does get killed off, and Direstrait, oopsie daisy, getting a supply blocked over there. 5 Overlords on the way though. There's a little bit of a warp in of Dark Templar, and Quix is going for the cross my fingers and pray method, warping in 4 Dark Templar all at once. That is quite a bit of investment, so he better hope that this does damage. And over here, Direstrait actually does have the capacity to make Overseers, so he just needs to respond quickly enough. His Zerglings are coming across the field. There are a couple of roaches up at the front. Are there any detection sources over here? No, it does not look like there are. And the Dark Templar are headed into the expansions over here. A couple of drones now falling. Let's take a look at the workers count. Oopsie, I just showed you the replay bar, and it looks like 25 workers killed by Quix already, and Direstraits' food is dropping. The drones are not mining in the main and the third base. A lot of drones are falling. These Dark Templar are doing so much damage. The roaches now coming back in, and the Overseer is now morphed. These 2 Dark Templar are now trying to escape. They will get out of there. Direstrait put into a pretty bad position, especially, actually, units killed is 42, but 24 workers killed by Quix. That is quite a large number, and let's take a look at the units tab. And we do see the Harvesters actually ahead for our Protoss player, so Quix in a very nice position. Wow, that is late. No, that can't be. He did warp in earlier. I'm getting a little bit crazy here. I did have 3 straight days of exams, and I was up really late each and every day. So please excuse me. And there's the Stalkers continuing to join the fields. No Colossus on the field, quite strangely. More Void Rays coming out onto the field. Quix playing quite strangely for this game, but it will work very well against the large number of roaches that he has seen. There are cannons also on the way. Where are those cannons being built? There's one over here, and the third base actually naked of cannons. Looks like the Dark Templar also returning home, and Direstrait going for a push at that third base. There's not enough over here for Direstrait to be able to do any sort of damage, especially with the huge number of Stalkers as well as the Void Rays. A couple of Zealots getting pooped out over there. Funny enough, Direstrait is actually still ahead in terms of food count. He is making more stuff. He does have Hydras on the way, so he will be able to get a nice advantage on those Void Rays if he can get enough of those guys out. And back at home, Quix continuing to build up his third base. He is getting now Immortals out onto the field. He's also got the +2 ground armor, ground weapons, finishing up. Probes now transferring to the third base as well. Looks like the Zerglings trying to go for a counterattack back at the main base. And we'll see if he's able to make it inside. It looks like those Zerglings will surely be able to pick off at least this Immortal. No, it looks like they will head straight for the main base. They will see exactly what's going on. They do see the robotics facility producing. And it looks like the Zerglings will begin harassing the natural expansion. Looks like the probes will take quite a bit of damage, except Quix does return home and clean that up very easily. Direstraits probably doing not as much damage as he had hoped. Hydra's now out on the field, and Direstraits not really spreading his creep as much. So, not too sure about my High Masters claim from earlier anymore, but that's okay. There's the Stalkers and Zealots warping in back at the third base, and Direstraits will be trying to push this location with this gigantic army. He does have a lot of units, but it's not exactly the best composition. Well, I guess it is a very good composition against what Quix has, and there are a lot of cannons now being constructed over here for Direstraits. Direstraits does poke in there and sees that this army is a little bit larger than he would have hoped, and also Quix now warping, and these cannons will make this base quite strong. Another expansion on the way for Direstraits. It's a little bit late at the 15-minute mark. He is approaching max at 190 food. Quix still not having gone for those Colossi until just now with the robotics bay on the way. He does have Storm also researching, so he is quite wealthy. He's mainly going for Tech Path right now. I would like to see Quix try to take another base real soon to be able to get that extra gas income. It looks like he did miss a probe at this third base. Couple of Zerglings making their way into the natural expansion once again of Quix, and he will be able to scout into the main. He's going to check out what's going on over here. Undoubtedly have clicked on that robotics bay and does see that our Protoss friend is going for Colossi. He does lose one of those pylons, and the Zerglings do burrow to be able to continue to do harassment damage. And it looks like there are Dark Templars still getting taken out. Cancel on that Nexus. Quix is going to be pulling back for the defense. There are now Colossi on the way, but is it too little too late? This is a max Roach Hydra army against an army that doesn't really have any sort of damage dealers, except for that one Immortal. And there are a couple of cannons here, so we'll see if he is ready for this push. The Hydra's in the back. This is well positioned by Direstraits, and it looks like Quix still hanging back. Direstraits is actually giving Quix plenty of time to get this base fully established and running to support additional production of those Colossi. There's the fourth base now on the way. Pylon blocking that fifth base of Direstraits. Direstraits does pull back to clean that up. Direstraits is banking a lot of money right now. I would like to see him spend this by taking more expansions, but so far that is not something that he is intending on doing. Looks like he's just hanging back with his max Roach Hydra army. This Direstraits is falling into the old mentality of sitting back as a Zerg player with a ton of money just lying around. He is going for Broodlords right now. He does have the Corruptors on the way. He just spent all of his gas and a couple thousand minerals. So you will have those Broodlords out shortly, and we'll see if Quix is ready to deal with this, especially because he only has one Colossus and a few of those Void Rays out in the air. There is the Zerg missile attacks +3 on the way for Direstraits. Single Stalker blinking forward to see exactly what's going on. The Corruptors are moving forward. Looks like those are not actually for Broodlords. They are to be able to deal with those Void Rays. Corruptors now poking forward. Actually, I mean to deal with that one Colossus. However, with this composition, Direstraits has overmade on those Corruptors, and we'll see how well he does. There are two Colossus in this mix right now. There's the force fields going down. The Corruptors coming in, going to work. But looks like the engagement will not happen. A perfect set of force fields there by Quix. Not a single overlap there, except for right there, but that's not too bad. A couple of those Archons warping in right now. There's the fifth base on the way for Direstraits. He's finally beginning to spread that creep. And Quix now moving up onto the high ground. He is at a max army. Direstraight trying to retreat, but he is on those slow Hydras. Can he do it here? Looks like the engagement will happen. A Force Field's cutting that army in half. And Quix roasting through Direstraits' army. He does keep most of his Colossi alive. And it looks like all of the air army for Direstrait is completely dead. 52 Zerglings on the way, but is it enough to deal with a maxed out cloaked army from Quix? He's going to continue pushing forward here. And +1 air weapons are now on the way for our Protoss player. There are a few Broodlords over here. Is it enough to deal with this gigantic army, though? Looks like Quix will begin pulling back. A couple of Stalkers do get stuck. Does that Mothership actually have enough for a Vortex? Yes, it does. He needs to throw that down right away. There are Broodlords encroaching on this position, and Quix continuing to back up. Nice Force Fields there, shielding off all of those Zerglings, and it does look like one Corruptor going to work on that Mothership. And Quix, what he needs to do is warp in Archons to try to do an Archon toilet. Quix getting a little bit excited there, did pull all of the probes for just a moment, and it looks like the Broodlords are now getting into position. Can Quix actually snipe those Broodlords? We'll see if he's able to do it in just a moment. There's the engagement coming in. All the Zerglings trying to go in for the attack. The Roaches on the backside and the Broodlords trying to deal some damage as well. Looks like they are being focused down by all of the Stalkers, and the Roaches getting completely obliterated by all of those Colossus. And there's the Vortex. Looks like the Protoss army will be joining that party as well, and everything is now stuck together, and those Colossus going to town, killing everything off. The few Overseers here getting picked off as well. Direstrait is certainly in dire straits now. He doesn't have too much of an army. His bank is now getting low, and our Protoss player is beginning to push forward with a maxed out Death Ball. Can Direstrait hold this attack off, or will this be game? He's trying to continue to make those Corruptors, and there's the Zerglings now engaging this army. The Colossus continuing to roast away everything. The Corruptors trying to kill everything off, with the Stalkers now blinking forward. A couple of those Changelings getting pooped out, and Quix does win this game over Direstraits. So I hope you enjoyed that one. I will be casting another game soon. I'm not sure if it's going to be is completely just featured on Mobility Gaming's channel, but I hope you will be able to check that out. Mobility Gaming's channel is actually linked on my channel page, so you can go ahead and check those guys out. But for now, I am Aegis, signing off.